Hello, everybody. Dr. Lonnie Stewart here from the Healthcare Education Transformation Podcast. Are you a physical therapy student about to start studying for the National Physical Therapy Examination? Or maybe you're a professor, a program director, or clinical instructor who teaches DPT students preparing for the NPTE? Either way, we would recommend checking out our sponsor, NPTE Final Frontier, and the community they've built around preparing for and succeeding on the NPTE. That exam and the preparation that goes along with it can be long, tedious, difficult, and stress inducing, but it doesn't have to be. NPTE Final Frontier has the tactics and resources to help address all of the usual barriers. They even have scholarships to help with NPTE study courses, FSBPT registration fees, and even research opportunities. And if that's not enough, they're even donating to the very first annual HET Podcast Scholarship to be awarded at the end of every year. Go to npteff.com for all of the details and use code HET for 10% off all purchases. Links to both the NPTE Final Frontier and their scholarship options are available in the show notes. And now, let's get ready to learn.
Hello, everybody. Dr. F. Scott Feil here with the second of 4 parts in the series on preparation for today's Teach Me Something Tuesday episode. And today's preparation is going to be before each class session or office hour. When we're preparing for a class session, the best cure for any sort of anxiety or nervousness or uncertainty is to be prepared, right? To ensure that you've got a good grasp on the content as well as all the necessary materials, including textbooks, the lab equipment, right? And any other resources that you're going to need. As you prepare for each class or help session or office hour, you don't want to go over the same content that the students are already learning. You kind of want to take a broader view and consider the ideas and assumptions behind the content and anticipate any questions that may arise. I see the same questions over and over and over in each semester. So what I start to do is try to start addressing those during class anyway, so that we don't have to spend time going over those questions, but just realize inevitably there's going to be questions that come up that you don't really have prepared. So you've got to kind of figure out how to answer those best. You can have a plan B ready if plan A doesn't work. I always recommend that because inevitably things do go wrong. Technology fails, the equipment's not ready or not available. So I always try to have some sort of plan B as a backup just in case. If a discussion runs long and it's 15 minutes instead of 5, but it still achieves the goals that you had in mind, that's okay, right? But what you may want to do is readjust the next section or find another place to kind of move or adapt the content so that you're still keeping within a good time frame for yourself. You definitely want to summarize some key ideas. Think about your big takeaway messages that you're trying to hit at each class session or office hour. And then you can also try to present a problem or sort of a mystery each class session and really work on solving that for the end of the class, right? So by the end of the class, they're able to kind of figure out, critically think through the problem or the mystery that you've given them. You definitely want to try to use a variety of teaching methods that can be most effective if you combine them because, we have this idea that there's these different styles of learning, which has kind of been debunked to a certain extent. But I know for me personally, I'm just much more of a visual learner and I like hands-on. So you may want to combine some sort of verbal and then visual explanation, explain the concepts using both a big picture and then a detail-oriented approach, and then give students opportunities for active learning and reflection. This approach has many benefits, and it's kind of in line with like universal design for learning. But I find that I try to talk through things and then show an example or tell a story that relates to it. And then I finish up with some sort of picture or meme or something that relates to what it is we're talking about to try to get our point across. My mind just works in picture and meme form best. So that's how I like to wrap things up. But I know not everybody likes that. So the other thing too that you want to do is to definitely get organized. No matter what teaching methods that you use, being organized and preparing, like the whole theme of this 4-point series, being organized helps with your students' learning, and it helps gain appreciation if your classes are well organized. Each class period should have a clear beginning, middle, and end. You don't want to cover too much material in a single class period. Sometimes, that just over inundates students with too much info. It's like drinking from the fire hose, right? But you can definitely present more information and ideas during a lecture. You just have to have that summary in mind too, and bring it all back together. So you really want to make sure that you're kind of bringing those big themes back together at the end of each section of your lecture. And then get emotionally ready for each class or office hour, right? Set aside time right before you go to teach the class and focus your mind on your goals for that day, right? Look forward to teaching, to interacting with students, helping them learn the day's material, responding to questions and ideas they may bring to class, and just really being present and listening, being an active listener. And I'm a huge fan of positive affirmations and visualization. We've talked about those individually before, but really close your eyes and picture what it's going to be like going into the class and presenting a well-developed lecture for the day or lab or for the day. And then positive affirmations, just saying out loud over and over to yourself, that you are a good professor, you have a firm grasp on the content, and that you are well trained in transferring knowledge, and your students will get something out of the class for the day. So I hope those tips helped for preparation before a class or office hour. Well, I hope that episode was entertaining as much as it was informational and educational. If you enjoyed this episode or any of our past episodes, we ask you to please subscribe to the podcast and leave us a rating and review. And please share out the episodes to those who you feel may be able to benefit from them. We also urge you to follow us on all social media platforms at HET Podcast and let us know what topics or experts you would like to hear from in future episodes. And just as a reminder, none of the information on today's show should be considered medical advice. It's simply infotainment or edutainment to help educate our audience. For medical advice, we always advise you to reach out to your preferred medical professionals, and we'll see you on the next show.